Thursday night, the 8th of January, and we are still in it's just above normal. We'll call it a warmish pattern in the east. We've got severe weather risks and flash flood watches up for parts of the Gulf states and the Tennessee Valley for Friday, and there's some thunderstorm activity going on this evening as the first of two lows get ejected to the northeast from the plains. The winter weather continues in the southwestern quarter of the U.S., where we have a plethora of winter weather advisories and winter storm warnings and wind advisories. We'll talk all about this a weekend and do a little long range. And that's all tonight. Where else but right here on the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast. And of course, you can support the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast. Do your shopping on Amazon. Our referral link for this is on the description to this podcast on YouTube. Just use it to get you to Amazon. Do your shopping. Amazon throws us back a little bit of coin for sending you there. And it's a easy way to support the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast because A, it doesn't cost you an extra dime, and B, by doing so, you keep this podcast, at least the live version anyway, commercial free. And we appreciate those of you who have participated. And if you're still looking for a weather station, Tempest by Weather Flow, get the revolutionary Tempest weather system, join the fastest growing observing weather network on the planet. The link for this is on the chat board tonight. It's also on the descriptor to this podcast. And of course, we have an exclusive Joe and Joe Weather Show coupon code. Right, Mr. Rayo?
And that coupon code is Winter 2026. And it may not seem like winter now, but as we get into the discussion, it will feel more and more like wintry weather, I think, here as we move into next week. And of course, use the coupon code. Anything that you purchase at Tempest will give you, with the coupon code, 10 big % off.
So, adorable, David. Adorable. He's better looking than you are, I'll give him that. Oh, well. Anyway, a couple of things, just a couple of notes, folks. Adam Lucio, Storm Chaser. Adam Lucio was going to be on tonight, but we told you yesterday he had to have let's call it an emergency root canal, and he was still feeling out of it today. So I've rebooked him for next Wednesday. Okay.
Well, that's a good time.
What language are you speaking, Dave? We have no idea what you're saying.
Hang on a second.
Yes.
Thank
It's called live streaming, David. You're supposed to sit in front of the camera with the microphone working and all the rest of it.
Well, he was sitting in for me because I had something to do here. So,
as long as you enjoyed yourself.
That's my new hire.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So, what do you want to do? You want to do the short range first or the long range?
Sure.
Sure what?
That'd be good.
Pick one.
Short range. I'm sorry.
Short range.
Short.
All right.
Yeah. Mark way up. Yes.
Okay. Mr. Rayo, how warm did you get today?
I think we got to 48 this afternoon. Turned out to be a lovely day. Lots of blue sky, sunshine, and very, very nice. And I could see my roof again. The snow cover that covered the roof for the last 8 or 9 days is pretty well gone now. And I'm even starting to see parts of my lawn again as well.
All right. Well, that's a good thing. So you basically made upper 40s and low 50s. I actually had very little sun today, but still managed to make it up into the low 60s for high.
I got 61.
You
I had
did?
61.
I think I got to 60. I think I saw 63 on my thermometer this afternoon. It's 58 right now. Hasn't rained here, but when it's gloomy here in the mountains, it's like this, and it's quite cloudy. So we're going into this weekend. These two weather systems, these back-to-back lows that are coming up, are I think kind of important because don't they get the ball rolling for what's going to go on atmospherically across North America next week?
Yes, they really do. So, in the front, you have to get the front through. And, the first front will come through this weekend with the rain and stuff, and it'll get quite warm ahead of the front. But yeah, that is and of course, what happens is by the time you get through next week, the polar vortex, which is now up in Alaska, and is going to end up being by the time we get to, let's say, January 16, 17, 18, it'll be in the Hudson's Bay or James Bay. And that changes the entire pattern, of course. As a general rule, whenever the polar vortex is in Alaska, kiss of death for winter on the East Coast.
The Alaskan trough has been a
pain in the ass.
long-standing feature for the last several years.
Yeah,
Well, let's run through the short range here really quick, and
okay.
Then we can go. We can play around with the long range and see, get your thoughts and ideas on it, because, it's getting to the point that these pattern changes, which used to be confined to those of us who were able to access information, now that everybody gets it, it's of course so well advertised it makes you sick after a while, but no matter. We've got some flash flood watches up from southeast Louisiana up through southern Mississippi, the northern half of Alabama, into central Tennessee. And that area is also going to be in a zone of severe weather for tomorrow, which we'll get to momentarily. Meanwhile, we've got winter storm warnings in a number of counties in New Mexico and in southeast Colorado, with a peppering of advisories surrounding that. Wind advisories in the southern part of California and Nevada, and in northwestern Arizona. And also some flood watches up in northern Wisconsin, along with winter weather advisories up for even further north in Wisconsin. Actually, the flood watches are up more for central Wisconsin. And here's a surface map. And you had a nice high sitting right along the coast. Mr. Ray, you said that this was going to be the pick of the week today, and you were absolutely correct, and I congratulate you on your insight on that.
Well, it did turn out to be a beautiful day out there, with temperatures in many areas within a few degrees of 50, blue sky, bright sun, a few puffy clouds, just an absolutely gorgeous day. And unfortunately, as we move toward the weekend, the weather will begin to turn sour on us. We're going to have a warm front tomorrow that is going to touch off a little bit of light rain and drizzle later tomorrow into part of tomorrow evening. Skies may actually try to clear after midnight tomorrow night, and you may wake up early on Saturday to a little sunshine, but that's going to quickly go bye-bye as we get a new wave or nodule, if you will, of moisture coming up from the south and from the west into our area by or soon after noontime on Saturday. And some of the rain we may get with this system on Saturday afternoon and evening could come down in spurts of moderate to heavy. And we may see, anywhere from a half to maybe as much as 1 inch of rain before everything kind of begins to peter out or taper off sometime by later in the night on Saturday night.
This lead low is an 89 low in northwest Missouri. It's pretty well wrapped up here. And see that to the north, it's in the 50s all the way up to Chicago. The 40s have pushed up through Wisconsin. Wasn't more than a week ago, a lot of these places were in the teens and single digits. And meanwhile, south of the warm front, which has been drawn from northwest Missouri, southeastward into southwest Kentucky, crossing Tennessee, and then sitting just to my south here in Georgia. It was in the low and middle 70s in the central and southern part of the state. North Georgia, a little cooler, upper 50s and low 60s. Got to mid 60s in North Carolina, 70 or better in South Carolina. And the dew points have really come up. So it looks like we're setting up probably for some pretty strong thunderstorm activity for tonight in the middle Mississippi Valley and then tomorrow in the Gulf states. The Storm Prediction Center tonight has a marginal risk for isolated severe thunderstorms from northeast Louisiana and western Mississippi all the way up into Illinois and Indiana, reaching just south of Chicago. And there's a little line of storms there on the radar right now, which we'll take a look at in a second. And we also have an area of general thunderstorms in the southwest. That's all in the colder air. So that's why the elevated areas in Arizona and New Mexico are seeing a fair amount of snow. Now, tomorrow, this is Friday into Saturday morning, SPC's got a slight risk in much of Louisiana, Mississippi, and western Alabama. The marginal risk pushes up into Kentucky, and they've got a 5% tornado risk. Well, Dave, you don't see 5% tornado risks in January that often.
No.
That's pretty hefty. So this is going to play itself out, and that's with a second low that's developing. And then come Saturday, we have a marginal risk area from southeast Louisiana to the Florida Panhandle, north and east to me, and continuing northward into south central and southwestern Virginia. You are outside of this, correct?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. But I'm close. I'm close.
And rainfall wise, we've got areas of 3/4 of an inch to an inch, maybe even an inch and a quarter from southeastern New England down through Virginia, and then a larger area of an inch and a half to almost 3 inches being indicated from southeast Louisiana northeastward to eastern Tennessee and western North Carolina. A lot less in the way of precip as you go in the west, the central and southern Rockies, mostly 1/4 to a half an inch, and it's also tailed off a bit in the Pacific Northwest. So it's kind of straightforward here, folks. You got this low that's running up to the Great Lakes. There's not a whole lot of cold air, so there might be a narrow band of snow on the northwest side of this first low that tracks far enough west so that when the front goes by late tomorrow, I don't know that there's going to be a whole lot of shower activity, Joe, for late tomorrow into tomorrow night. There'll be some in there, but it's not going to amount to much, and it may mostly be done by, it might be in by late afternoon, mid to late afternoon, and it'll be mostly done by, say, 10 or 11 o'clock in most places.
The time frame I had for the lower Hudson Valley was 1 to 4 tomorrow afternoon. I was making reference not to showers, but to light rain and drizzle, and I would think that most, if not all of this, is going to be done along the same lines of what you just mentioned, Joe, between about 8 p.m. and 11 p.m. tomorrow night. So it's going to be a quick shot of moisture, not a whole heck of a lot. Again, just a little light rain or drizzle. Should be over with by or before midnight tomorrow night. Skies, I think, may actually try to clear a little bit, although not.
It won't last.
I go partly to mostly cloudy, if you will, or very cloudiness. I mean, it's not going to turn completely clear, but there will be a bit of a break after midnight and into the first half of the day on Saturday. If you have anything to do out of doors, maybe you want to start taking Christmas decorations down. If you've not done that already, do it in the morning, because by the afternoon on Saturday, the next round of precip is coming in. And as I mentioned a few moments ago, this second round, Saturday afternoon into at least the first part of Saturday night, looks to be one where we'll have steady and at times maybe even heavy rainfall to deal with. I'm thinking about a half to 1 inch as the nominal amount of rain that we're going to see out of this before it tapers off and probably comes to an end, if not first thing Sunday morning, sometime early in the day on Sunday.
David, your timing is a little different for you because you'll have some stuff coming in.
Also because it's me.
And natural, I have no doubt.
I don't expect most of my rain to come in until Saturday night. Now, in the western part of my state, by West Virginia, by Saturday in mid-morning or midday, but I think it's going to take most of the day to go from the Virginia, west of Maryland border all the way to D.C., Delmarva, Richmond, and then Norfolk. So, and Raleigh, I think it'll take most of the day to do that. So I've been telling people, if you want to get out in the warm weather on Saturday before the front, you have several hours in the day to do stuff.
Okay.
So that's what it looks like to me.
Did you take your Christmas stuff down?
Yes, I have it all in my closet, and I'm going to decorate my office. We took it down well.
Oh, very good. Quiet John bangs the tip jar. Thank you, Quiet John. Joe, Quiet John just banged the tip jar.
Very, very nice. Thank you very much, Quiet John.
Yes.
But don't stop. But Quiet John, don't stop talking.
So bad. Welcome tonight, by the way, to everybody on the chat board, and welcome to those of you who are lurking in the background on tonight's Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast. We're here Sunday through Thursday at 7:35 p.m. Dave Tolleris is here with us tonight. As soon as we wrap up this, what's going on short range, we're going to start talking a little long range for next week and beyond. So subscribe to my YouTube channel and turn your notifications on so you don't miss us. Of course, if you like the show, hit the like button. And we appreciate very much when we get 100 likes. It makes us very happy, and makes the guests very happy too. All right, so this thing is going to get out of the way. I guess we can transition over to what is, or what may or may not happen down the road. Because I'm kind of, I don't know about you, but I'm kind of confused about a few things. I mean, I sort of see how this is all playing out. So I'm going to bring up. Would you prefer I use the GFS 500 European for North America, or would you like the European, David? Anything in particular?
Well, first let me ask you this. You get access to Weather Bell?
No.
Okay. Damn. All right.
What did you want? What did you want me to get from there?
Well, they have the 200 millibar velocity potential anomalies.
Well, the share button's open, so if you want to, pull it up on your side, and then you can just share.
Okay, let me see here. I have to minimize my screen for 1 second.
All right, but in the meantime, just to describe what's happening here with this troughing, and as Dave pointed out, the Alaskan trough is going away. It's been, here's the upper air from last night, where you have troughing basically from Alaska all the way down to New Mexico and Arizona. But the trough kind of shifts back to western Alaska and focuses its attention in a trough that goes all the way down to Hawaii. So you basically got a trough at 160. That allows ridging to build over California and push north up into western Canada. And the trough comes, and that Hudson Bay low that you mentioned, come back into the eastern part of the United States, making for quite a interesting looking long wave that runs from northern Labrador all the way down into the Gulf of Mexico by next Wednesday night, and a strong upper high in the Gulf of west of Washington State and Vancouver. We haven't seen that in a while. That is a negative East Pacific oscillation signal, is it not?
That is correct, my friend. That's exactly what that is. Now, the problem here is that normally, when you have a big giant ridge that size over the Gulf of Alaska, if you start from like 84 hours, then you go forward, you'll see that the ridge retrogrades from the west coast towards the Aleutian Islands. It retrogrades. Now, what that means is that places your mean trough over the Rockies. And then you get a ridge over the southeastern states.
Right.
But what happens, especially after day 7 or day 8, we go into week 2, is that the polar vortex drops way south. And you can see that, especially on the ensembles. If you go to the GFS ensemble in particular, you'll see that not so much the operational GFS, but if you go to the GFS ensemble in week 2, you'll see that the polar vortex comes way south.
There it is.
Okay, you roll it up to, let's say, you keep going. Okay, and then you'll see it coming south. There it goes. Okay, so as a result, you now have the vortex over Hudson's Bay, and you have a block over Greenland. And what that does is that acts as a suppressing influence, so the southeast ridge is suppressed. Then what happens is you have stuff coming out of the western United States, but instead of going up to Chicago or going up to Buffalo, it ends up taking the east-northeast track, let's say New Mexico, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Virginia, that sort of stuff. So that's what's important about this. I mean, you have to get in the extended forecast, we have to get the polar vortex to drop south and suppress that ridge. If it doesn't do that, the second half of January is just going to be one big screw job. That's the important piece here.
Well, all the models seem to be on this idea.
Yes, and the reason why it's going to happen. Let me see if I can call it up here. Let's see here. Where is it? Oh my!
Well, we also just saw what happened with that big negative anomaly that was supposed to be off the southeast coast around the 6th and 7th, and it just disappeared. As the trough in the west decided to, reestablish itself. But it looks a little bit. I mean, this time around, to me, it looks a little, looks much different. The Pacific, in particular, looks different. I don't see any Alaskan trough coming into play once it goes away as we go into next week.
Okay, that's what I want to save here. Let's see if I can save it. I didn't say copy, it's save. Okay, to my desktop, that's fine. Okay, so you have the screen share up, right?
Yeah, it's up.
Let me see here. Okay, so let me do minimize this and find the image.
Meanwhile, hey Joe, can you pull up the CPC?
There it is.
Where they show you the climate, the risks for the long range.
Yes, I will do that.
Okay, so let's see here. Go to here and then do share screen. Okay, tell me if we can see that.
Yep, yep, we see it.
Okay, I want to make sure. There we go. Okay, so this is the 200 millibar velocity potential anomalies from the European ensemble. And
can you just really quick,
okay, what this does is the green area represents sinking air. Okay. Excuse me. No.
Wait, Joe. I'm sorry, Joe. Unshare yours for just a moment. Dave will finish, and then we'll come to you.
Okay.
Okay. Go ahead. There you go. Go ahead, Dave.
So the green area represents rising motion. Okay, and the brown area represents sinking motion. So what happens here is part of the problem is, if you recall, last time the MJO looks like it was going to go into phase 8 and set up the entire month of December. It never did.
Right.
Okay, it was supposed to, and it failed. And one of the reasons it failed was because the La Nina was still out in the equatorial Pacific. So the La Nina extends from, on that image on the bottom, from South America, Peru, out towards the Indonesia. So what happens is that when the MJO comes out of the Indian Ocean, it runs into the cold water and goes, and it dies. Okay. Now the rise of what happens here is that you see the big giant green blob at the bottom. As you go down the chart. So January 8th, January 13th on the left-hand side, January 18th, January 23rd. That big green area, that rising motion, it indicates that the La Nina is about to die, and the MJO is going to wake up out of the neutral circle and move into phase 7 and phase 8 as we go into late January and into February. Phase 8 in February is gangbusters most of the time. It's a really strong East Coast snowstorm signal. Okay, so that's why that's important. That huge green blob, and you look at the chart, it's the biggest green blob in weeks. It's going to come crashing in to the Pacific, and it'll destroy the La Nina. It's supposed to be destroying La Nina. And of course, the other issue is that the European climate model, the January 5 model, came out, and we actually has us going into El Nino by the summer. It shows a very rapid switch over from the dying La Nina to neutral conditions by March and April, and then by May and June, we are in moderate El Nino, if that's correct. So it's a very rapid ride. But the point is that it looks like, and there's also other indications, there's a big wind burst developing in Indonesia, which is going to drive warm water across the equator towards South America. And that should kill La Nina over the next week or two. So that's why that's important there. Now, if you look at the MJO, you'll see that you can call them up, Joe. I can call them up.
I got it. Hold on a second. I got
it. The MJO.
Here's the European. This is the European MJO.
That's fine. That's fine. The other one, there's a very good agreement here with the different MJO models, so that's good. So there you go. Okay, so that's the next 2 weeks. And if you look at the other one, which is the next 30 days, you'll see that it actually goes into the lines go into phase 8 by late January, early February. So that's what happens with that. So
where's the link for the next 30? This one goes out, I guess, 15 days. 16
right.
days.
Let's see here. If you go to the MJO link, what does it show on the upper left side? What does it do? The MJO on the upper left. What does it do? Let me see.
There's no other link here. Well, okay.
Yeah. On the left-hand side, in the blue area, it says MJO. Okay.
All right. So now I'm on here.
Okay. So now let's see here. Let's see here. Go to the second link which says MJO Task Force Dynamical Models, MJO. At the top of the page. This is the third link. The third link.
Oh,
Current
the third
conditions
link. Okay,
forecast.
gotcha.
Currently,
Okay.
there you go. Click on that.
So which
Okay,
one?
now click on where it says, let's see, scroll up a little bit. Scroll up a little bit, Joe. Move it up a little bit. Let me see. Okay, yeah, right there where it says operational real-time dynamic models underneath the paragraph.
Boy, maybe it's a long way to get to this.
Okay, it's worth it. Keep going. Keep going. Okay, now you have all these models. Now the top will say EMON. That's the monthly European.
Gotcha. Okay, here we go. So yeah, so you're right. I see it. So the purple starts from the 21st of January is the purple, and then it goes straight across phase 7 to phase 8, and then to phase 1.
Right.
All right. So that would be bullish.
Yes, that would be. That's correct. Okay. So that and you can kill the other links on there as well. You can see other models doing the same thing. The Australians do it. The CFS does. They all do it. So, and that's because of that big impulse. So that's what the argument is. Now, whether that happens, it's going to depend on La Nina. The La Nina's got to die. Otherwise, the models are just spitting bullshit. That's what's going to happen. La Nina's got to weaken. If it doesn't, everyone's going to be saying 2 weeks from now, oh, no, we missed another cycle.
What's the BOMM?
Australian model. Bureau of Meteorologist.
That one has it going, into 6 and then 7. And then just as it's about to get to near 8, it goes into the neutral zone again.
Yeah, as it goes further out in time, it always tends towards the neutral circle as you go further out in time. It always does that. It regresses to the mean. But if we look at, let's say, GOM, GOM, that's the Japanese model, but only goes out to 2 weeks. Look at the GOM at the top there.
Oh, I see. Yes, there it is. Right across 7.
That's the GFS ensemble. And you can see that by the end of January, it's about to go into phase 8. And it's pretty strong.
Right. 7 is a stormy phase, is it not?
Yes. 7 is not bad. You start getting ridging on the West Coast. You're getting a big upper low in Southeast Canada. It's got potential. It's not great. It's not severely cold, but it's got potential. But once you go into phase 8 and phase 1, that's the different ballgame. So we'll see. All right. That's what I'm excited about, and you can see that on the models. I mean, you look at the European 360 hour. You saw that looks really impressive. The GFS 360 looks pretty impressive. So, and again, if we go into phase 8, yeah. So, we'll see. I mean, there is something showing up on January 15th, 16th, the operational models. Something January 15th or 16th. There's something January 18th and 19th, and maybe it's something the 21st or 22nd or 22nd, 23rd. So there's 3 different events coming up.
So on that note, Joe Rayo, you got what CPC did today in the long range with risks, and I want to see David's. I want to hear David's reaction to this.
Okay.
So go ahead, Joe.
Okay, I had it and then I lost it, so I'm gonna get it back here. Hang on.
Okay.
So you want the risk for heavy snow, and I'm gonna have to hit share again, which I'm about to do. And here you see CPC's risk for a valid January 16th to 22nd, although they have in this zone here, I'll zoom in on it for you, a slight risk for heavy snow across portions of West Virginia and northwestern Virginia, the western end of Maryland. Be advised that Maryland, over here, that's where their mountains are. Garrett County, they often get snow, whereas, Baltimore and Washington would get rain because of the elevation. Much of the central and northern sections of Pennsylvania and the interior of New York State, all but the southeast. The southeast, including Long Island, I would presume would be more inclined for rain than snow. But central and western and northern New York State, much of Vermont and New Hampshire, going all the way up into, I'd say about 75% or 80% of Maine, all under the risk of heavy snow in the time span, a slight risk of heavy snow in the time span from January 16th, that would be a week from tomorrow, Friday the 16th, through the 20th. That would be Tuesday, the 20th, and that also would be coming during the Martin Luther King Jr. Federal holiday.
Oh, you always get it. You always get one there. I know.
Well, what I was trying to figure out is, okay, because I'm going to bring this back to the European today. Is not that necessarily that they. I mean, I know they did it around the lakes. I mean, I don't know how much of that is lake effect or not. But then I was looking at the models this afternoon. I mean, I see what where there's potential for things to be developing and so on. But I don't know if there was enough here for me to, if it was me, to draw a zone of risk of heavy snow where they drew it. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Am I missing something? I mean, I'm looking at the European for that time frame. All right, so today's runs has some clippers going, running through the lakes, and it's got something off the southeast coast that kind of skims the coastal areas and goes mostly out, and that's another conversation to have. But I'm not seeing the kind of heavy, I don't know. Am I missing something?
No, not at all. I mean, you can clearly see there's something there on January 19th, 20th, like you had.
Right.
There's that threat. And again, it's impossible to know. You look at it, you go, oh, it's too far off the coast. You don't know that. You don't know that, okay? Just like when you looked at a big storm and 15 days out and you go, wow, no, it doesn't happen then. And it also means that if it's too far east, that might be wrong as well. It's just telling you there's something there that's going to be watched. That's all it's telling you. There's no reason to commit to it's going to be this, it's going to be that. We don't know that. There's something there. The upper pattern it looks pretty favorable. That's all we can say at this point.
Okay. Now, the other thing we talked about, I mentioned this last week, and I'll mention it again. The lack of activity in the Atlantic is to me is problematic. Now, it does seem like it's trying to change a bit, which would allow maybe for some troughing in the east to have at least a little. You got to get a little bit of backing. You got to get a little bit of ridging to get something near the southeast coast to climb northward as opposed to getting ejected east-northeast.
Right.
So, I mean, we're seeing a little bit more activity to make something like that a little more favorable. I don't know if it's going to be enough. And the other thing I would ask is, since we saw what happened with the overall pattern in December, and I understand that the upper air setup here is a little different, but what's to stop any of this from saying, okay, you got all this troughing in the east, you got all this ridging in the west, but is everything going to line up where you want it to line up for a snow event, or is it going to be something where the northern stream of, I see the phasey look that the model has, and we've been down this road before, but There's been a tendency for, as we come in closer to real time, that these short waves are split up. The south runs out ahead, the north lags behind. You don't get the kind of phasing that you want, that you need. I mean, that to me is probably the biggest impediment here. That we're going to just go into this sort of, you're going to have short waves running around, and it's going to look like something's going to try to develop and take a favorable track northward, but at the end it just gets shoved out to the east because the northerly flow and too many short waves and not enough phasing.
Yeah, it's a problem. It's not an ideal setup. On top of that, you're going from a phase 6 to a phase 7 transition setup. If you look at the date here, this is what January 19th, 20th. It's exactly when you're going over, going into phase 7. So, it's a step in the right direction. I would be a lot more sanguine about the whole thing, more comfortable with it if we got that vortex got further south. I got something here. Let me see if I can share it. I don't know if I shared it or not.
All right. Let me bring you back.
Yeah.
Well, that's a pretty map.
Yeah, there you go. So as you can see, you can see your block over Greenland, and then you can see the polar vortex is elongated. You got one section in Western Hudson's Bay, you have another one out by Labrador, and you can see with the southeast ridge, see how suppressed it is? Way over, like going from Texas to South Carolina to Georgia. This is a great looking map. This is a great pattern here. And so this would be a very ideal setup. And that's January 22nd. So everybody's cold enough. The flow looks pretty good. You have everything in place that you want, but we'll see. It's a long way out. I'm not.
I would also, by the way, because a lot of folks are just sort of everybody in general, their mindset is always on whatever the current run is. They
Sure.
don't know where we've come from, and they don't know where they're going. So it's always what the current run is. And I've always tried to make this point, and I think you just made it a little while ago in a different sort of way when you said that when you see something out at 300 hours, it's not going to, that it's going to be wrong. Okay. Well, and I think you're correct when you say it you really need to look at these things in the other direction. I actually prefer to see, um, uh, I actually prefer to see the models show something at 220 something hours going out to the east, because, to me, that says that, okay, you've got a better chance that as you get closer to reality, that maybe it's going to go left. And we've gone through long stretches. When I say long, I mean seasonal stretches where models would do that initially and take something out at 60. And, you go back into the late 2000, either 2010, 2020 period, or even before that, where everything wound up being left, left, left.
Yeah.
And you got so many, big snowstorms out of this sort out of that. So when you look at these models, folks, I would just say, if you see them printing out 20 inches at 240 hours, it's going to be gone in the next run. It almost always is. But if you
Right.
see something that's like 300 or 400 miles, and you look at the upper air and you kind of say, well, you know what? If it's a little bit, if the trough's a little sharper, if it's a little further west, and you've got time for the models to move in that direction, if that is going to be the trend. So I mean, otherwise, you're just kind of wasting your energy, because then every 6 hours you're going to be on a emotional roller coaster.
Well, one of the things also to keep in mind is, this is the way we do science, and it's not just in meteorology, but it's in all fields. I mean, if you want to do Neil deGrasse Tyson, Michael Shermer over at Skeptic Magazine, what he's talked about it. You want to have converging lines of evidence, not just one evidence. Okay, so you want to find several converging lines of evidence that all come together, into the same point. So for meteorology, we right now we're seeing January 15th, 16th. Some kind of deep trough, some low pressure forming on the front, which may or may not be close enough to bring snow to the area to the I-95 corridor. Okay, then we see an extended pattern that looks pretty favorable. It's got potential as well. So, and again, we're seeing some signals of something forming, and especially with the MJO moving into the sun phases. So we see all these things happening in a convergence that give us an idea of something that's going to happen. So it gives you more confidence. It's not just one model. It's comparing all the models together and the other global cycles, and that's how you get your convergence of evidence or ideas. So you can see something coming up that way. So as a general rule, when you see one model with the big snowstorm and the other models don't have one, or one model with the big hurricane, the other models have it out to sea or keep it a tropical depression, that's not proof of anything. Right. But when you see the other models begin to turn towards that solution, now you're on a trend. Now you got a different thing going on. So that's what you want to keep for. You're looking at a convergence of information, the convergence of ideas and parameters, which cause you to have more confidence in the forecast and give you an idea of what to look for. And then you start building your scenarios. Okay, what happens if the load ends up going here? What happens if the cold air is too shallow? What happens? Then you start building those things. So once you get within the short range forecast, usually within 60 hours, you go, oh, wait a second, I'm not surprised by that. I have built that scenario. I thought about that 2 days ago. Oh, yeah, the cold air isn't deep enough. It's going to be sleet. That way you're not surprised. I mean, the worst thing you can do as a meteorologist, this is no joke of mine, is you go out of the house in the morning and you put your hand out and you go, rain. That's, it's a bad day.
Right.
So you don't want to be surprised. You always want to anticipate.
David Fuller bangs a tip jar tonight. Thank you very much. And okay, well, I won't let it snow next Saturday so you can fly to the Philippines. Gotcha. He's going there for 3 weeks. Enjoy yourself, and avoid the China war games that are going on. That
Yeah.
noise in the background is not something you really need to worry too much about. Hey, can you unshare yourself, Dave, and just this way and get everybody?
Yep. Yep, got it. There you go.
Mr. Ray, do you have anything to say?
No, you've two of you have been going pretty well on the long range
I
pattern.
know, but we like to hear your voice, Joe. You know
But
how much
I'll say it. I said it before. I'll say it again. In this very progressive pattern, once you go past 3 or 4 days, if you want to go beyond that, it's all pure speculation. I like your idea, Joe, about once you get past 200 or 240 hours, whatever the models say, just go the opposite.
Well, I
I
mean, in
like
a way,
I like
yeah.
that.
You get a flavor for what the pattern is like. So if you see something, I mean, just as an example, if you're in a trend where everything is going to the south, okay, and you look at the upper air, nothing really much has changed in terms of the overall flow, and suddenly, the model's taking a big storm up to the Great Lakes in the long range. There's a pretty good bet that as each run goes by, that you're going to wind up with something that's going to be further south, and then the opposite is true. You just have to know which way. You have to just figure out which way things are going in terms of how the atmosphere is actually working. And I'm just, my feeling is there's always a rhyme to every
Now
winter.
let me. I'm sorry to interrupt,
Go ahead.
Mr. Contino. You're not listening to me. When you listen to me, then you'll learn something. Okay? I said in such a progressive pattern as this, when the movement of weather systems is very rapid, it is very difficult for any of the models, no matter how good their algorithms are concerned, to pin down anything with any accuracy much beyond 3 or 4 days. This is not always the case, Tom. There are times, especially in the summertime, when the movement of weather systems is slower, and it is easier for the supercomputers to grab onto something and to make a projection, let's say, beyond 3 or 4 days. But in a pattern such as what we have right now, and we have seen it, and I've said this time and time again, go to the TV stations that are offering you 10-day forecasts. There are two of them in the New York market. I would love if any of you would just sit down with a notebook and look at day 7 through 10. Make a note of what their projection is for day 7 to 10 now, and then as you get closer, see how accurate those forecasts are going to be. I doubt very much if they're going to be very accurate at all. So in the current situation that we're in now, I don't think that you're going to be able to get much accuracy or anything precise beyond, let's say, 3 or 4 days. You could try, not to say that you don't, nothing ventured, nothing gained, but I think in the current situation that we're in now, it's difficult, and that's why so many people have been saying, let's wait a little while, let's wait until we get closer to the actual event. And again,
Right.
it's nice to look at trends, and of course that's what CPC is, Climate Prediction Center. They basically, I think, are using trends to put together their 6 to 10 and 8 to 14 day probability outlooks. But in terms of being able to point to, let's say, the GFS, the 324-hour GFS, and saying, there's that big storm, we're looking for that to happen. No, it's not. And I tell you what, even if you're looking at down the road, let's say 102 hours or whatever, you can't really say that with any credibility or credence.
I agree almost completely with what you're saying, Joe. And I've actually, when I did my newsletter on Monday, the 3-week newsletter in the next 3 weeks, I put that out every week. Now, how can you forecast out to 3 weeks? Well, I made the point that there are times when the signals are so strong you can see 2 weeks out with some pretty good clarity, 10 days out. Okay, and there are times when you can't. And what we went through in December, when we got all excited, and that was me, I was one of them. I thought December was going to lock in, and it did for like 10 days, and then it fell apart because the MJO did not go where it's supposed to go. The MJO models failed, and the rest of the pattern failed after that. So there are times you can make the call and times when you can't make the call. I agree with that 100%. You go beyond 4 days because you want to push the skill. You want to see what's available. You need to, you always try and strive and do the best that you can. But there are times when you can make that call and times that you can't. And, we are in a warm pattern now, and we have to transition into the colder pattern. We have to see how that shapes up. So, that's where I am right now. So that's why, for example, when the storm that looks like it's off the coast for January 16th, I don't know if it's going to be there. Maybe the trough when we get out of the warm pattern, the cold pattern, maybe the trough axis is 200 miles further west, and now you have a coastal storm. I don't know. It's possible. So yeah, right now, I agree with you, Joe. When you're in a transition from a warm cycle to a cold cycle, you have to get into the cold cycle first before you can lock anything in. You have to. So that's my opinion.
I'm going to read you a couple of things, and I wanted to, always like your opinion about this. I don't know if you follow Content Weather Guy on X or have seen his.
Oh yeah, he's great.
And he's very good. I mean, am I right? He is really he's got an uncanny way of being able to look at like the whole globe and figure out that what's going on. I remember back in November, and when he was talking about what was happening in Central Asia and how this was going to cascade the whole pattern down the road to what we got in December. He really is perceptive, and there's a couple of things that he said on some posts recently. So I'm just going to I'm going through a couple of them. First of all, as far as the myth of the I-95 corridor snowstorm, and when I say myth, I mean the sort of idea that it happens all the time. We go through. This is what he says, and I think he's spot on here. We go through cycles. Thank you. 100 likes. We go through cycles, mostly barren stretches lasting many years, followed by short strings of renewed significant coastal storm activity. Winter has never been an annual event, D.C. to Boston. Big snows are the exception, not the rule. Typically can go dry for 3 to 7 year stretches. That's totally correct.
Yes.
Everybody's got this concept that somehow, we're in the snow belts here along the coast, and that is, BS. He also said something that struck me as being very true. I'm trying to find it because I could paraphrase it. He said this back a few days ago, so I might not be able to pull this up. But what he basically said was, and he talked about the over-reliance on teleconnections, the MJO in recent years, and in terms of trying to get trying to get an idea of where things are going. And his main thesis was that something changed about 6 or 7 years ago in the atmosphere, be it the Tonga eruption or a few other things, where these teleconnections don't seem to be working in the same way as they have in the past. And I'm just and I kind of agree with that. And I'm just wondering what your opinion is on that.
Yeah, well, Ben Knoll did a thing about it back on when was this? I guess it was this morning. Something out this morning. He said that folks living on the East Coast were wondering where all the winter storms and nor'easters. And he says if you compare since 2000, the number of coastal storms and nor'easters from 2000 to 25, from 2000 to the year 2025, and you compare them to the last 80 years, the number of coastal storms and nor'easters are way down. So I think that's probably true.
I found the quote. Okay, there's actually two of them. He says another way to look at it is that Western North America looks nothing like the La Nina analog, while Eastern North America sort of kind of does if placed over today's climate regime. That is, the takeaway is unreliable source analog. Spot/window value, back to the drawing board, time for some new analogs. And then he goes on to say in a prior post, he said, have spoken before here. Yet again, here is proof. Hand ham analogs, be them born on ENSO or MJO or PNA, NAO, or base years, will fail time and again. At best, that they mimic for a spell or a region, yet overall will no longer be purely emulated, all born on a climatological pattern which no longer exists. One must choose a blend of years or ideas and then place it on top of today's established regime. You have to account for a less typical two-stream jet pattern, which is what we've had, account for broader upper level cells extending more west-east than in prior periods. You just showed that. The shift began during 2017 in that regard. Unsure why such stubbornness to abandon old analogs and cliches persist. Same could be said for the increasingly faulting and micromanaged model guidance. Garbage in, garbage out. I think that, he nails it.
Well, one of the reasons what's happening is that it's called the West-East thing. That's the West-East things, of course. Those are, you're talking about the Hadley cells and the Walker cells. And one of the reasons why you have so many meteorologists and also people who are weather hobbyists who are trying to learn and trying to figure out, who love the hobby, is that they don't understand the impact of the warming climate and the warming of the atmosphere. Okay, and clearly that is a major problem here. And, because if you have a warmer atmosphere, what happens is you get more record warm temperatures, you get stronger ridges, you get less cold air, and, it messes things up. So, if you look at the drought monitor map, you can see that many areas east of the Rockies are in drought conditions this winter.
Right.
Now, again, if we move into El Nino, that would be great for a lot of farmers. They really need that moisture. And that's going to be a huge problem for me this spring and summer. As an agricultural meteorologist, that's going to be a big deal. And we've got to get that moisture in the ground. But a lot of it has to do with the warming. And a lot of folks out there, for whatever reason, the politics, whatever it is, they don't want to deal with the warming climate. And I'm not going to get into how much of it is real, how much of it is real. Whatever the reason is,
it's something.
It's warming.
It's happening. Yes. So you have to deal with it.
Even if you think it's 100% all natural, which is bullshit, but let's just say you think it is. Okay, fine, but it's still warming the atmosphere and it's still changing the pattern. That's all. You got to deal with it.
Right.
That's why the insurance companies are dealing with it, because they see the trend. They see the risk to them. So, they'd rather make money than help people, but that's their business model, not mine. But the point is, it's out there and you have to deal with it. So that's what he's looking at. Yes, we're seeing the changing jet stream pattern. There's no doubt about it. No doubt about it. So.
All right, Joe, do you have any final questions before we say goodnight? Because I'm tired.
No, absolutely.
You're good?
I'm good. I'm fine. And all I can say is that we'll be back here again on Sunday at 7:35 in the evening.
Oh, wait a second. Somebody asked me several times whether or not I thought we were going to have an early spring. Somebody keeps asking me that in the chat.
Right.
And based upon the new European climate model that came out January 5, it looks like the main trough goes to the west coast and we get a significant ridge over the eastern United States, and it looks warm and stormy. So, yeah, I do think we have an early spring coming up.
Unless, of course, something happens between now and then to change it.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I noticed I noticed, by the way, that the European weeklies are especially warm through the middle of February.
They're not?
Not the ones I looked at today.
No, they look pretty good for the middle of February. Then after that,
through middle of February, they look pretty good. So maybe if it was. I mean,
you can even extrapolate it. Let's assume hypothetically for a second, through a thought experiment. Okay, we go into phase 8 in February, and get phase 1. Okay, by the time we get out of February, going to March, we're moving into phase 2, 3, and 4, and those are warm cycles.
Right, unless it doubles back, which sometimes it
right, unless it doubles back. But I'm just saying, as a thought experiment, if you continue,
well, if it does a loop-de-loop or something.
Yeah, I could see by the time we get to March. Yeah, you can see it going. It's just a thought. Like you said, we don't know, but it's a thought.
Well, that's just it. And I mean, at the end of the day, we really don't know. We can just sort of surmise from what the guidance shows us, and it makes this job fun. Scott Briller bangs the tip jar. Yes, Central Park has had 7 snowstorms of at least 20 inches since 1869, 4 of them since the year 2000, and since New York City is just a 1 point, I can tell you that for where I lived on Long Island, it far more than four 20-inch snowstorms in that period from 2000 to 2020. It was more like 9 or 10 for me.
Yeah, but all of them occurred, I believe, since 2000, 2020, not since 2020. I don't know how many you've gotten in the last 5 years. I think
no. Well, only the one in 22. Only the one in 22 where I still
Right.
got like 23 inches or something.
Right. All right. But all in New York City, that decade of 2000, 2010, 10, 20, they had a lot of big snowstorms in New York City and DC and they were active. But since 2020, it's really dropped off.
By the way, I just reminded me about something. I wanted to ask you about this. Did they really put the snowboard outside the front door in Richmond?
Yes.
Underneath a tree?
True.
I mean,
absolutely true.
Really?
Absolutely true.
I mean, but did it not occur? And that was a Weather Service office, or it was a
no. It was the FAA tower.
I
the
thought
FAA
so.
tower.
Yeah. So it wasn't a Weather Service.
No, they were told to do that. They were told to do that, and they didn't do it, and they were just like, "Well, nobody's going to check." And I don't go out in the snow, so they just put underneath the tree outside the door.
I mean, Dave, that's almost as bad as the Weather Service in the 70s in New York City because they didn't want to walk the 9 blocks up to Central Park to measure the
Central
snow.
Park, yeah.
So they would measure it off the car. They would measure it off the car tops in Rockefeller Center. That's why the blizzard of '78 Central Park number is only 12 inches.
It's so off. They're like 5 inches off of Newark, LaGuardia, and Central Park. I know. I know. It's appalling. It's incredibly stupid. They did it down in, like I said, Richmond for years, and you can see it on the blizzard of '96 snow map. Where you've got a little 10 around Richmond. We also got 14 to 16 inches. It's just, I've been doing it for years. It's just,
I just wanted to touch on that because that actually was probably one of the funniest things I've read all week.
It's like at the time we were pulling our hairs out, so, but yeah, that's a true story actually. Yeah.
So, let's see. Hold on a second. Just let's see. We will not go in phase 8 if you've been burnt. We've been burnt on the MJO. We'll go into the null phase, not the cold phases.
In mine, I said that in order for that to happen, the La Nina's got to die. If it doesn't die, we're going to be screwed.
Right.
That's all I'm saying.
Okay, I was mumbling because I really didn't want to read it out loud. But Adam Lowe says, we will not go into phase 8 in February. That's a pretty strong statement. We will not go. You could say, I don't think we're going to go into phase 8, but to say,
or maybe only for a short period, only for a short period of time.
Yeah. In phase 8 in February, you've been burnt winter after winter. The MJO will go into the null phase, not the cold. Yesterday, you said it. Yesterday, Adam, if I remember your post correctly, yesterday you told somebody it was going into phase 5. So there you go.
Well, keep working that Burger King job, Adam. You're doing great.
Yeah, very good. All right. I knew I could count on you, Dave. So on that note, let's say goodnight, and we will see everybody on Sunday. Dave, we'll see you next week one day.
You betcha. I'll be here. I'll be square.
Okay. Love you, bud.
Or a rectangle, or maybe a parallelogram. I don't know, something.
Yeah. You're the best looking hexagon I've ever seen.
You just say that to make
you just say that to flatter yourself. I'll see you soon. Joe, have a good night. Everybody have a great weekend.
Yeah. Go Eagles.
Who are you playing?
No. 49ers in Philly. After the cold front hits. Windy and 30-mile winds, temperatures in the 30s. So it should be a good game.
All right. I'll be watching. See you.
All right, guys.
See you next week. Joe, we'll see you next Sunday. Everybody, see you on Sunday night. Bye-bye.
See you guys. Bye.